a review of the paper 1 for biology, June 2025. This is the most recent exam from CSEC Biology, and we're going to do the 60 questions that comprise this exam. I am Principal Roach, taking you through this exam paper, and we begin with question 1. Which of the following features is used to classify a group of organisms as class Insecta? And that will be number of segments. Question 2. Which of the following options correctly identifies a niche and a habitat? A, the role that an organism plays in the habitat, and the place where an organism lives is the habitat. So A is the best answer. Item 3, which of the following relationships may present harm to one of the organisms involved? Commensalism, no harm. Parasitism, harm. Predation, harm. So it's 2 and 3. We are going with C. Question 4. Which of the following organisms are most important in biodegradation? And that will be the bacteria. That is the best choice. Item 5 and 6 refer to the following food chain, which shows the feeding relationship in a freshwater lake: algae, larvae, eel, pike. Which of the organisms would be considered the secondary consumer in the food chain shown above? So algae is the producer, larvae is the primary consumer, eel is the secondary consumer. So our response is A. And question 6, which also refers to this food chain, which of the organisms would be considered the herbivore? That will be the larvae, which is T, because it's feeding on the producer. 7. Approximately 10% of the energy stored in food is available to the next organism in the food chain because most of the energy is lost as heat during the process of respiration. A is our answer. As we go on to 8, which of the following materials are considered to be non-biodegradable? Which one doesn't break down very easily? That will have to be sardine cans. We move on to number 9, the greatest threat to the survival of coral reefs. Reading all the answers, it will be an increase in ocean temperatures. 9 is B. 10, replanting trees on a bare hillside is an example of reforestation, because they said replanting the trees, and restoration, because we are doing something again. Yeah, so 10 is B. 11, looking for 11, refers to the following graph of population growth. Phase 4 of the graph of population growth is most likely due to, we see a dip here for phase 4, and that's due to competition from invasive species. Item 12, when compared to a cheek cell, a muscle cell contains more mitochondria. That's an easy one to get a mark from. 13, which of the following comparisons of a cell wall and cell membrane is incorrect? And we start off reading all of them, and A says found in both plants and animal cells. Well, straight away, that is incorrect. So straight away, that becomes the answer. Item 14 refers to the following diagram of a cell. Which of the labeled structures is responsible for controlling cellular activity? We have to choose the nucleus, which is Roman numeral 4, makes the answer for 14D. Item 15 refers to the following apparatus. What can be done to cause the level of solution in the petri dish to rise after 20 minutes? And you should add 5 grams of salt to the distilled water of the petri dish only. That will cause water to move out of the potato into the petri dish, carrying up the level. Question 16 refers to the following table, which shows the results of food tests performed on 3 food samples, X, Y, and Z. We see X, a violet color, with sodium hydroxide and copper sulfate. That is a protein test. Blue-black precipitate with iodine. That's a starch test. Orange precipitate when heated with bendic solution after hydrolysis. That's non-reducing sugar. And that line 16 up to be A. Question 17. Which of the following features would not enhance a leaf's ability to absorb solar energy? And that not is in capital letters. And it would have to be the presence of a vascular bundle. Question 18 refers to the following diagram, which represents a metabolic process carried out in plants. Water, like carbon dioxide, producing oxygen and food. We know this as photosynthesis. The food produced is glucose, B for 18. Question 19. An enzyme is best defined as a molecule which increases the rate of the chemical reaction but remains unchanged at the end of the reaction. C. Question 20. Which of the following graphs show the effect of temperature on an enzyme-controlled reaction? This is a familiar question, so we are looking for the graph that increases as temperature increases up to about 40 degrees Celsius and then decreases because of denaturation. So we come up with D as our answer. Question 21 refers to the following longitudinal section of a tooth. Which region of the tooth contains a large number of blood vessels and nerves? We're looking for the pulp cavity. Roman numeral 3. C is the answer. 22 refers to the following equation, which shows the oxidation of glucose in cells. The energy released from the process above is stored in high energy bonds in ATP. Question 23 refers to the following diagram of the respiratory system with some structures labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which of the labeled structures represent part of the rib cage? You are looking at B2. Question 24. Which of the following is an effect of carbon monoxide found in cigarette smoke? And that would be C. Reduce oxygen transport by the blood. The carbon monoxide will bind to the red blood cells. So it reduces the red blood cells' ability to transport oxygen. Question 25. Which of the following options best identify some of the transport substances in animals? We have amino acids, yes. Hormones, yes. Sucrose, no. So we're looking for 1 and 2, and that's A. 26. The activities 1, 2, 3, and 4 listed below are involved in the clotting of blood. Fibrinogen is converted to fibrin. Blood cells are trapped. Platelets are activated. Damage to blood vessels. Damage to blood vessels should be the first one. Which of the following correctly lists the sequence of activities? And damage to blood vessels is the first one. So we already see that the answer is D. 27. Why is it difficult to develop a vaccine for the common cold? Because the antigens of the common cold change frequently. 28 refers to the following diagram of a potato plant. Which part of the plant contains the most starch, where it is stored the most, which is 3, makes the answer C. Question 29. Under which conditions will the rate of transpiration in plants be highest? When it has plenty sun, so it's sunny, and high wind speeds. B. 30. Which of the following substances is removed during egestion? And egestion is the removal of undigested food. 30 is D. I want to encourage persons to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. If you did do this exam, do tell us how you fared in this exam. Continue Which of the following processes is not a form of excretion in plants? That not is in capital letters, and we have to go with carbon dioxide diffusing in through the stomata. That is not excretion. Which of the following changes in the concentration of substances is most likely to occur in the person who suffers from kidney disease? So if they have kidney disease, then they have an increase in urea in their blood. Which of the following correctly describes movement in plants? Growth movement, yeah. Part movement, yeah. Whole body movement, So we're looking for 1 and 2 only. So we are going with B for 33. 34. In humans, the skeletal system performs a variety of functions, including blood cell formation. 34 is D. 35. Locomotion is an evolutionary adaptation performed by animals. What advantages does this mechanism have over the type of movement that occurs in plants? The ability to move to favorable conditions, yes. Increases chances of predator attacks, that's not favorable. The ability to find food, yeah. So we're looking for 1 and 3, 1 and 3 only. 35 is B. 36, a very familiar question, refers to the following diagrams illustrating the steps involved in an experiment. After a few days, the tallest shoot would most likely be the one that has the foil cap covering the tip. It will cause elongation at the tip, which makes it A. Which of the following options best describe the terms stimulus and response? Stimulus is a detectable change in an organism's environment, and the response is the reaction to a stimulus. So 37 is D. 38 refers to the following diagram of a reflex arc. Which label structure relays the impulse to an effector? So if we just follow the arrows, we know the effector is at the end. In this case, they have it as some kind of muscle. So we are looking at what relays the impulse at C for 38. 39 refers to the following diagram of a spinal reflex. The numbered structures are, we have to identify them. So if we see 1, it's going to be bicep muscles. So we know that is a motor neuron. 2, from the skin of the hand. So that is a sensory neuron. So we already seen the answer showing up as C. Question 40 refers to the following diagram, which shows nearsightedness in an eye. Which of the following shows how the defect can be corrected? You want to put a lens in front of here, and you want to divert. So you need a divergent lens. You want the light to go outwards before entering the eye. So 40 is A. 41, the statements below describe the processes taking place within a seed during germination. The embryo uses food to develop the radicle and plumule. Enzymes break down proteins into amino acids. Soluble products move into the embryo. Which of the following sequences of events occurs during the germination of a seed? We know that 1 is the end of germination. Once the radicle and plumule emerge, that will become the shoot and the root. Yeah. So 1 is the end, and the only one that have the 1 at the end is D. Question 42 refers to the following unlabeled graph, which illustrates a measurement of growth in living organisms. Which of the following labels would be incorrect on the y-axis? The y-axis is this vertical axis, and you want to know which one is correct, and that would be time, the units of time. 42 is C. Question 43. Which row in the following table correctly states the cause, treatment, control, and prevention of the disease AIDS? And just looking at the table, you see antiretroviral drugs already as the treatment, and that already becomes the answer. Yeah, monogamy for control, abstinence, yes, those all just support the correct answer. That is A. 44 refers to the following diagrams of flowers labeled 1 and 2 from 2 different types of plants. Which of the following statements is true for both flowers? And looking at the flowers, we can match it up with D. 1 is pollinated by the wind. See all this dangliness here. While 2 is pollinated by hummingbirds. See, it has nice looking petals. So D for 41. 44. 45 refers to the following activities involved in the menstrual cycle: repair of the uterine lining, ovulation, shedding of the uterine lining, development of the Graafian follicle. Which of the following sequences shows the correct order of activities? So we should have 3 going before 1. Makes the answer B. Item 46 refers to the following diagrams of specialized cells labeled 1 and 2. Which of the following structures is common to both cells? This is a egg and a sperm. So nucleus is the answer for 46. 47 refers to the following diagram of a flower. Which of the labeled parts is responsible for the production of male gametes? And if you just watch a flower, you will see that 2 is associated with the male gamete. The other parts, the stigma, this would be the style going down here into the ovary. They just point a little above ovule, I'm guessing. And we have this nice anther and here, which will make up the stamen when you put it together. So yes, B is already the answer. Looking for 48. Which of the following are used in the management of diabetes? Diet, yes. Exercise, yes. Medication, yes. So we're looking for all 3. That will be D. A vector is defined as an organism that transmits disease. Organisms, yes. Item 50 refers to the following diagram, which shows the life cycle of a vector with the stages labeled 1 to 4. At which stage is the vector easily controlled by use of aerosol insecticides? Those are sprays. Yeah, you control the adult, which is for D, 450. Going into question 51. Which of the following description best defines a chromosome? We're looking for the best answer. Structure made up of DNA wrapped around histones. B, or 51. Which of the following is not a characteristic of meiosis? We're looking for that not. Maintenance of the diploid number. Well, that already is our answer. It does not. It actually halves the number. Tarzan and Jane are heterozygous for blood groups A and B respectively. Which of the following shows all the possible results of their genetic cross? This is question 53. And if they are heterozygous, it means their genotype is AOBO. And when you do that cross, it means you could get 25% of every blood type. D. 54. Which of the following terms refer to the visible characteristics of living things? That will be the phenotype. 55. Albinism is caused by recessive allele. 2 normal parents produce an albino child. This is because both parents were heterozygous for the gene. 56. One example of a sex-linked disease is, and we will choose C, color blindness. Variation in populations is due to mutation, crossing over, asexual reproduction. So we're looking for 1 and 2, which is A. 58. A group of closely related organisms that are able to interbreed and produce fertile offspring is called a species. 59. Which of the following descriptions is true about natural and artificial selection? So we have to go through and pick which are correct. Occurs in domestic. No. C, produces great biological diversity. For natural selection, and for artificial selection, produces very different organisms from natural populations. That is the answer. And final question, item 60 refers to the following diagram, which shows stages 1 to 4 in the production of insulin through genetic engineering. And the question asks, in which of the stages above can insulin be produced by the bacterium? That will be at the end, which makes question 60 D. So this has been your June 2025 biology paper 1. Do let us know in the comments how you would have fared if you did this exam. I am your principal, Mr. Roach, having taken you through these 60 questions. Take care, everyone.